26 in the Abington Town Hall. If we could salute the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any visitors tonight? Camera visitors?
The start of summer signifies a milestone for educators. Generally, that milestone is the completion of another successful school year. However, the start of this summer has another significance for the members of the Abington Education Association. It marks the start of the 18th consecutive month of unsuccessful contract negotiations, the possibility that Abington teachers will return to work and enter into a second year without a contract, as well as the beginning of the fourth and final phase of a work actions campaign. When I first took on the role of AEA president last August, I had a vision of the direction and role I wanted the AEA to play in this community. Unfortunately, our current situation has made it difficult to move forward with those plans, as contract negotiations have taken up so much time. Last August, during our first meeting, Mr. Schaefer asked me to give him time to settle the contract. The AEA gave him over 8 months before we voted to begin a work actions campaign last April. And the only movement that occurred during those months was the cost shifting and reduction of our health insurance benefits. As you are aware, during Abington's budget crisis, the AEA voted to furlough 3 days for a loss of roughly 1.5% and $1,200 per employee in order to save the town of Abington $164,000. Those furloughs coincided with the loss of over 70 staff positions, as well as a lack of public acknowledgement for our concession. In return for our charitable gesture, the town tripled our health insurance copays in the following year. Next week, we face upcoming changes to our health insurance benefits, which will result in another loss of roughly 1 to 3% of our salary, depending upon how frequently we choose to exercise those benefits. During the past 18 months, we have been given a few consistent messages from the educational leadership of this district. One of those messages is that Abington teachers receive an average salary, and the other message that we hear loud and clear is that you all respect us and settling our contract is your #1 priority. There are 2 things about those messages that I'd like you to take some time to consider. Abington is, admittedly, in the bottom 8% of per pupil spending statewide. So how is it possible that we then in turn offer a competitive average salary? 18 months of negotiations and no settlement has certainly put quite a strain on the relationship between the AEA and the administration. A very large credibility gap now exists because we have not seen anything to suggest that there is any sense of urgency to settle this contract. If you truly do want a quick and fair settlement, you must demonstrate that through your actions, not just your words. We are almost 3 weeks past our last formal session with no meeting date in sight, and that to me does not exemplify urgency. I realize that over the course of the past 18 months, many of the faces on this committee have changed, but the facts remain the same. A school committee is charged with the responsibility of advocating for education within its district, and we simply cannot have labor unrest in our buildings. I respectfully urge you to settle this contract before the start of the next school year. The members of our negotiating team will make themselves available whenever you can meet us. Thank you.
Jessica, could you just introduce yourself for the public?
Oh, sure. I'm Jessica Kinsman. I'm the president of the Abington Education Association.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
I know that settling the contract is a priority for the school committee and a fair and equitable contract and reaching that as quickly as possible. And that telling the teachers that there's great respect and admiration and appreciation for what they do are words, and they don't settle a contract. Nonetheless, I know that that's the feeling of this committee. So, if there are other comments or...
I think we're all on the same page, is that, we want what's best for our students and not for one particular group. And we have been working diligently And, you know, we're in mediation at this point, so the particulars cannot be discussed, but, you know, like Jessica said, she summarized it, you know, 18 months, but the public can look at, you know, the information that's out, what our teachers make, so on and so forth. We're not the only district that is struggling with budget issues. And, you know, we'll continue to work with the state and you guys.
Hopefully we'll schedule something soon.
Thank you, Jessica. Reading and approval of our minutes, our records, the May 22nd meeting. Any motion to approve or as presented or amended? Has anyone had a chance to take a look at those?
No questions? I can make a motion to approve as presented.
Second?
I'll second.
Tom? All in favor? And also the executive session of the same evening, May 22nd, a motion to approve the minutes as presented or amended.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
We have another set of minutes. Oh, yes, okay. And then,
Minutes of May
the
21st.
minutes of the May 21st before the town meeting. Need a motion to approve the minutes as presented or amended.
Motion?
Tom? I'm sorry, Mike? Second? Ellen? All in favor?
Aye.
Report of Superintendent of Schools.
Under Personnel Administration, I've accepted the resignation of Amy Scalaro as the principal of the Beaverbrook Elementary School. And I've accepted the resignation of Ms. Nicole Leach as a Title I paraprofessional. I'm also very pleased and excited to announce the appointment of Marilyn Weber as the new principal of the Beaverbrook Elementary School. I'm just going to read a quick blurb on Marilyn and then give Marilyn an opportunity to come to the podium, and then I'll continue on with Personnel Administration. Mrs. Weber has held key leadership positions in the Abington Public Schools. She has been an assistant principal at the Early Childhood Center, and now will be a principal at the Beaverbrook Elementary School. She's also served as a principal at both the Center and the North Elementary Schools. She is also our only nationally board certified teacher in Abington, and her undergraduate degree and degrees in education are both from Bridgewater State University. She also has a certificate of advanced graduate studies from Fitchburg State College. So I want to congratulate Marilyn on her appointment and ask Marilyn to
Good evening, and thank you. I actually wrote a little speech here, and some of this might be a little bit repetitive to what Mr. Schaefer just said, but I want to thank Peter Schaefer and the Abington School Committee for this opportunity to be principal of Beaverbrook Elementary School. As a product of the Abington Public Schools, I began as a first grade student at Woodsdale School in 1960. I also attended North School, Charles M. Frollo School, Abington Junior High School, and then graduated from Abington High School in 1972. I did some of my elementary education student teaching in Abington as an undergraduate at Bridgewater State College, then University now. Received a master's degree in elementary education from Bridgewater State College, a certificate of advanced graduate studies in educational leadership and management from Fitchburg State College, and earned national board certification, as Mr. Schaefer said. That was in 2002, through a very rigorous program. And just as a point of interest, as of 2012, I am one of 534 national board certified teachers in the state of Massachusetts and one of 97,000 national board certified teachers in the United States. Additionally, I've earned several state certifications over the years. I've been a classroom teacher in grades kindergarten, 1st, 4th, 7th, and 8th, a reading specialist in grades K through 6, Title I Director, Elementary Literacy Coordinator, Assistant Principal for grades pre-K to 4, Principal for grades 3 through 6, and now I am really thrilled to be Principal of Beaverbrook in grades 1 to 4. I'm confident that my 32 years with a variety of experiences as an educator in the Abington Public Schools, along with professional development that has encompassed state and national levels, will allow me to successfully work with all students, faculty, all staff, community members during these challenging times while working for the benefit of the Beaverbrook students. I just celebrated my 40th high school reunion this past weekend. It was terrific to reconnect with my fellow graduates of Abington High School and talk with them about life after Abington High School. I'm very proud that our class has planned a reunion every 5 years since our graduation, which I think goes to show that we have had positive early learning experiences in Abington that keep drawing us back to Abington and to each other. I wish I had time to tell you about all the great things that Abington High School graduates have accomplished, not just in my graduating class, but in many other graduating classes over the years. The reputation of Abington Public Schools is in our hands, and I am highly motivated to continue to make Abington's school system a respected institution of learning. I want to thank you for your confidence in me. I don't intend to let you down or the children. Working together with patience and positiveness, I think we can make remarkable gains for the students of our school district. Thank you, and I hope you all have a happy and safe summer.
Thanks, Mary. Thank you, Marilyn. The next position this person did not accept a position, so I will not be, that's going to be taken out of this section. Going on to number 5, on the recommendation of Dr. Thomas, I've approved the appointment of Ms. Nancy McSherry as a specially certified tutor. On the recommendation of Ms. Roseanne Kopaska, I've approved the appointment of Mark Riddlebuto as an English teacher. On the recommendation of Amy Lewis, I've approved the appointment of the following staff for the academic summer school: Deborah Pratty, Jillian Smith, Jennifer Garrity, Brian Cassell, Shannon Harrington. I've granted Angela Daly a parental leave of absence, and also granted Bethany Ryan a parental leave of absence. And it's important to note of the positions that you saw there, those are not new positions, those are replacements of positions we currently had in terms of movements of staff, in terms of retirement or leaves of absence or other things. Those are not new positions. I know that you know that, but for the benefit of people watching on television or cable or whatever, informational purposes. Under other matters, I want to update the committee on a shift. In your packet, you've got a handout that describes the situation in our kindergarten and our first grade. As you look at the top section here, and I'll describe this, you've got on this sheet proposed numbers for kindergarten. Right now, if we didn't make any changes at all, there would be one additional kindergarten section to what you see here. So right now, if we have 3 full-day kindergartens, the average class size we'd anticipate would be 20. We currently have 4. And so what the plan is to shift a kindergarten teacher out of kindergarten, so those numbers will be 20, to better meet the needs of our first grade students and bring our class numbers down to 24 in grade 1. Currently, with the known transfers, we've got 27 projected for first grade. The problem is that students coming out of private kindergarten, if we've got 27 now in first grade, chances are we'll quickly have 30 or more in first grade for next year. And so now that students have registered for kindergarten and we've got the preliminary registration done in kindergarten and first grade, we know that we can better serve the needs of the students and reduce our class sizes in grade 1 by shifting that kindergarten person to grade 1. Other things that will take place as a result of this is we will need one less paraprofessional at the center school. That money can and would be taken to bring back a music person that we have in the district, because we will need that person for the grade 1 offerings to meet those students' needs in the areas of art and music, so that they have the same offering as the other first grade classes. So basically what we're doing is, if we didn't make this shift, we'd have 15, 16 students in our kindergartens. As a result, we'll have 20 in the half-day program. If we didn't make this shift in grade 1, we'd breach 30 in grade 1. As a result of this shift, we'll at least bring it down to 24, so that when some of those students coming out of private come to Abington, we'll be better ready to meet their needs. We won't end up at 24, that number will go up. But we'll be spreading that number that come to us, let's say 20 come to us, it's better to spread the 20 out over 7 sections rather than 6. And the other pieces to this are the paraprofessional and the increased need for the exploratory offering in grade 1. Now, the paraprofessional that I mentioned won't necessarily lose a job because there's a need for a paraprofessional in the budget in other places. Every year we lose paraprofessionals, we gain paraprofessionals, so we don't anticipate any unemployment costs here. The person will have the opportunity for a job without adding additional staff. So I just wanted to make the committee aware of that and that taking place, and ask if you have any questions.
Is grade 1 the highest student to teacher ratio that we have in
No.
the elementary?
No, the highest would be grades 5 and 6.
Okay, but it's out of the 1 through 4. So
Correct.
The teacher would not be able to transition over to...
They could. And I'm anticipating where you might be going with this. Why not go to the highest number and solve that? Trying to maintain the lowest class sizes at the youngest levels, because these students are really pre-readers, most
No, I understand.
at this point, is why we would want to reduce these class sizes ahead of grade 5 and 6.
Okay. That's fine.
And also, we'll see students coming out of those private placements into grade 1. We won't see a large influx, more than likely in grades 5 and 6. We'll see the largest influx in grade 1.
Now, for the kindergarten classes, going from 16 to 20, those classes have aides in those also, correct?
They do.
How many aides, assistants do they have in the classroom?
One per room.
1 per room?
The next item I have for you is a request from the Abington Softball League for the girls to install a fence and lights at Cary Field behind the Beaver Brook Elementary School. I was approached by Roger Becker, and he's done quite a bit of work raising money through the league to improve the field conditions for our girls. Ultimately, what they'd like to do is install lights down in the softball field. This has been approved by the Park and Rec, and also I know that our highway department is aware of these changes because of the people that maintain the fields. It'll be more difficult for Park and Rec because they'll lose one of their multiple purpose playing fields, but I'm certainly interested in providing our young ladies a better facility for their sports, especially if somebody's willing to help us do that and pay for it.
Is this going to be a phased-in project where they're going to utilize the fence first and then go ahead with the lighting?
What they hope to do is, yes, use the fence, and then I'll come back at some point with the process for approving banners for the fence. They hope to raise money by selling banner space on the fence. But the first stage is to get the fence up.
Is it a permanent fence, or is it one of those?
It'll be a
portable-
permanent fence.
Is part of that permanent fence going to be a warning track out there so that the girls don't go through the fence?
And a safety,
A warning track, a standard 10-foot warning track from fence towards home plate?
I would have to check on that to be sure, but I know they're going to be putting that safety barrier on top of the fence.
Right. That would be different. The warning track is a
Yep.
10-foot, typical 10-foot track from the fence towards home plate, just to let the outfielders know that the fence is coming.
I can ask them about that. I don't have that information for you tonight.
Because that would provide more of a safety feature
Yep.
for any of the outfielders.
I can find out.
And would there be any type of a gate installation there? Because if you're talking about Park and Rec, they would need to make it easier for them to go from one section of the field now to the other section.
I can ask that also.
Plus emergency entrance and exit.
Yep.
The only issue that I have, I'm all for the fencing and stuff like that, is with the lighting, the usage of it. It would be great if they get lighting up there, but, you know, it sounds like here the ownership and control of the lights would be the responsibility of the schools.
Yep.
You know, I don't foresee the high school using it much for a night. Maybe occasionally the girls would have a night game. I don't know how the town plans on using it, but it's all taxpayer money end to end. I don't know what the underlying cost to electricity would be if it's going constantly over the summertime, you know? That's the only concern I have, but, you know, like I said, it's taxpayer money, and the majority of people, you know, plenty of girls, as long as it's used across the...
I've been concerned with equity in terms of girls having appropriate fields compared to what the boys have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the boys have a baseball field with lights on it, and so it'd be nice to get to a place where.
Do they actually play at night? I don't know if it's set up. I know football.
I think
they do.
I think it's more set up for football.
Yeah, it's football. I don't think so. It's for night baseball, but
Oh, and the soccer
And
games,
soccer.
and girls and boys soccer as well.
boys and girls soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not against it. Not by any means. You know, I think we might just need to scope out a little bit of the cost that it could. I don't think it's going to be much, but just have an idea. It might run us an extra couple $1,000s a year if it's going to be constantly used during the summer by the town rec department.
And I think the lights being, you know, the fence has already been funded and all of that. The light, that's a large undertaking.
Absolutely.
I don't see the lights coming to us
Right.
in any, you know,
No.
quick manner.
Now looking for your approval.
We have to accept it, don't we?
Yep, you have to accept the donation, and I can, in the interim, I'll research the warning track piece and the gate piece, and we have such a good relationship with
Yeah.
the Park and
I
Rec
don't foresee
that
it's going to be an issue. We just don't want it overlooked. That's all.
if the lights become an issue and funding the lights become an issue, that's something that, I mean,
Like I said, we have control over the lighting. Once it's there, it runs into financial constraints, then we have to limit it at that point.
so I'd ask for your approval
I
of
make
the
them-
installation of the fence and lights at the Cary Field behind the Beaverbrook Elementary School.
I'll make the motion with, you know, the follow-up, just to make sure that, you know, proper safety precautions for the fence are made and access for emergency vehicles.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
I would assume that the field would be, ASA regulations.
Yeah.
I would assume, right, since the girls softball is the one that's fun, you know, pushing the whole thing. We voted, yeah. Tom and Mike.
Okay. The next thing I have is just, I talked to everyone over the telephone about this prior to this meeting, the approval of the out-of-state field trip. Jason Scott took a group of 11th graders. I just want to, in open session, get your vote on it because it's an out-of-state trip ever since 9/11. We've had the school committee approve these trips, so motion to approve an out-of-state field trip to Newport, Rhode Island on June 7th, which has already occurred.
Ellen, all in favor?
Thank you. And as you know, I'm not looking for any votes or motions on this tonight. The strategic plan for the Abington Public Schools has been approved. It would be most productive for us to implement this strategic plan with the settlement of a contract so that we can have everybody on board, and we're hopeful that that happens. And what you have with you tonight is a copy of that strategic plan. This is really just a draft of what the brochure will look like. You've already approved all of this language. This is how it'll lay out. Hope to spend some time on it this summer, and we'll do the work of posting it in the buildings. But just to quickly review, in terms of goals and objectives in teaching and learning, to improve student performance through curriculum, instruction, and assessment. In the area of technology, to maximize opportunities and provide technology to transform teaching and learning. In the area of finance and district operations, to obtain and responsibly manage equitable, predictable, and sustainable funding for educational programs, facilities, and operations. And under facilities to provide state-of-the-art facilities, and under community support, generate strong community support for the school district. So what you also have in your packet is a list of the action plans and a tentative review schedule that we'll bring to the committee with updates to make sure that we're holding true to our stated mission and objective of trying to address these elements of the strategic plan. It's my job to make sure that this plan is broadly promoted. It's my job to make sure that these updates come to the committee. It's my job to make sure that this plan is followed up on, because otherwise it's basically worthless. If it sits on a shelf and collects dust, it's meaningless. If it's used, it can be used to help do the work to transform the district from what we are today to what we want it to be in the next 5 to 8 years. And so holding true to that, I wanted to make sure that it was on this agenda, although it's already been approved. We've talked about each of these throughout the school year this last year, and then I gave you a tentative review schedule for these plans for next year.
Dates to remember, we have Thursday, August 23rd, we have new teacher orientation for our teachers in Abington. Monday, August 27th, will be the teachers meeting at Abington High School. Tuesday, August 28th, school will start for all grades, grades 1 through 12. Tuesday, August 28th, we will have our first regular school committee of the school year, 7 p.m. in the Cotter Room, right here at the Town Hall. Now we're into the report of the Assistant Superintendent of Pupil Personnel Services.
Didn't
you
this
have
have
anything? You
anything
have
on your
nothing.
agenda, so
Now we can put a tail. Look at that. Report of the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance.
Thank you. I just wanted to give you a very brief update of our feasibility study and where we are with that. As of tomorrow, actually, we have a meeting in with the School Building Authority in Boston to review our enrollment data that was submitted about a month ago. And that triggers a meeting with MSBA to look at trends for the next 10 or 15 years in terms of our school district. They look at things such as birth, new housing starts, if there's any housing developments that are coming into town, and they really look at the trends around enrollment, and that helps guide the size of building that we're looking at, the enrollment of the school district, and like I said, the next 10 to 15 years, and that helps kind of solidify some questions that they have around where we are in Abington and growth over the next few years. So that's tomorrow, we have that meeting. Then the next piece that's due to the MSBA is around the maintenance of our buildings, and that's another report that gets submitted to them in the next couple of weeks. And once that's submitted, and they feel as though we have a full kind of package, it goes to the School Building Authority Board of Directors for a final invitation into the feasibility process. So we're still a month or so away from that. Their next scheduled board meeting is in August, and we're hoping that we get the blessing from the MSBA to be on that agenda to be able to actually begin the process of our feasibility study. Are there any questions on that in the process?
If I do have a question regarding the board meeting, do they meet
Monthly.
Quarterly?
Monthly,
So
yep.
if we don't get August, then the hope is
It's for September.
September.
Yep. I just also wanted to call attention to one project that's going on currently. If you drove down Washington Street, you noticed that the stairs in front of the Frollo are being worked on. That was part of the fall capital project that we got at the special fall town meeting around building envelope and brick work outside of our buildings. So they'll be working for the next few weeks on both sets of front stairs. What we're finding is that the stairs were separating from the building itself, which was causing water penetration behind the building that was impacting the bricks. So that's all part of the special town meeting, fall capital plan
That the last
The last-
was approved
in October. Yep.
Yep. And those bricks are where the kitchen is, so when you get water in the kitchen, it's a bad thing.
So people are probably aware that project started today. So, thank you.
Thank you, Felicia. Moving on to principal report. Nicole Rich from our center school.
Thank you for inviting me here tonight. I'll review what we've worked on at Center School this year with the school council. I'd like to also thank the school council members that we had for 2011, 2012 that helped work on our school improvement plan. So what we have here in the school improvement plan, what we did, it took us a little time to get things going on this because of the last minute opening of the school and then forming the school council and putting it out there for members that were interested in being on school council.
I think we had a tornado that week before. Massachusetts did. We had tropical
Yes.
storms in this area.
Yes.
Just-
Yeah, hurricane.
Okay. We had
Yes.
earthquakes. Right, that week, and we had a hurricane, so.
We did. So we ended up having, and then throughout the course of the year, we had 2 different school committee members as our liaison. So it was an interesting year with school council. What we also had decided from the start was that we wanted to get as much parent input as possible, the opportunity for parent input to decide what areas of our school improvement plan that they wanted us to focus on. So we sent out a survey. We first brainstormed a list of areas similar to what the strategic plan process was. Was it, we looked at, is it the building itself, the environment that parents are most concerned about? And that's how we narrowed down the areas for the goals before we began working on the goals for it. So you have before you the school improvement plan, and what I also did today was put what progress we had made. Even though this one is for 2012 to 2013, we did make some progress towards the goals as this year had moved along. Excuse my back toward you. So for the first goal, to improve student achievement in all areas of development, I don't know if you want me to read through each area or just
Hit the
give you an idea. Okay. So what we did is we wanted to look at achievement in the school itself. So this gave us an opportunity now to really look at kindergarten and preschool achievement, where they were and where we wanted them to go, what the vision was now that we had our own building and we could really put our eye on that. So we looked at professional development this year using the Common Core, the new Common Core with preschool added to it as well. And then the preschool teachers created a standards-based report card, which you saw a few months back. So that was some of the work that we did, and that report card will be implemented in the fall, which will contribute to this. We also have a data team now. We spent the past 2 days working, 3 of the teachers from Center School worked very diligently, and it was amazing the work that they've done in the past 2 days to look at where we are with data and where we want Center School to go with that as a district initiative for next year. So some of the things will be for next year, the data team. So if you can just slide down there. Okay. So what we've also done is 2 of the teachers this year had research standardized testing that's currently being used because that with the data in mind, data teams in mind for next year. 2 of them had selected as their alternative evaluation this year was to look at what we were already using and what we needed to update, and if what we had was effective, and if there was anything else new that was published that we could be using that could enhance instruction, enhance the experiences for the children at Center School. So we used that as the springboard in this goal as well, and then will also be used, it worked really nicely into the data team work that they've done in the past 2 days. A couple of the other things that we're trying to do is increase the community at Center School. So we're looking at, we want to encourage students um, engaging in other opportunities outside of the school, which is a little bit of a challenge for 3 to 6-year-olds because parents have to take them places. But some of the things that we've done, and it's also an initiative through the Department of Early Education and Care, is to increase community and family engagement. So what we've done is we brought in the grantee for the area, for the region, to run parent and family workshops. So the children, so it's free of charge for families and free of charge, no cost for us as the host site. So what they did is come in every week and run a family group that helps work on some skills, and it gives us the opportunity to see any children that might be enrolling in center school for any following years. And that's also, it's kind of embedded throughout this improvement plan, the community piece. We also have looked at, when I went to a conference back in January, I saw this program called Little Sports. We don't have gym at the preschool level. We don't have gym class. However, we do need opportunities for play, which they have, but opportunities for physical activities because of the health and wellness policy as well. And then increased physical activity also increases brain development. So what I did was I spoke with them about how we could implement that program at center school with no cost. So we looked at PTO, which is also further on in our school improvement plan. How can PTO help us? And what we did as of last week, instead of using this program in the school day, which would also allow teachers some more time for collaboration and common planning, we figured let's start off with an after school, so from 2:30 to 3, 2 days a week, and then on Friday mornings they can use the gym for preschoolers that are not enrolled on Friday mornings. So that will also open it up and include the community for ages 2 to 5. So we'll have more community involvement there. So we'll start off with generating that interest, bringing them in. We'll charge families, or they charge families $12 to enroll in this sports program, and then we will get $2 for every child that enrolls. And then hopefully that will, increase involvement over at center school and families coming over. And if we can generate enough money from that, then we can embed it in the school day for them. And it can just pay for the program, and we don't have to have any cost to us, but we can have that added experience for them. So some surveys, the kindergarten switch, we've done that. Also investigating the possibility of all-day kindergarten. I've been trying to find as many grants as possible through the Department of Early Ed and Care or Department of Elementary and Secondary Education to see what ones we're eligible for. And unfortunately, because of the situation in the state financially, they've closed off a lot of the grants. So if we weren't already receiving them, then we're not allowed to apply. I might just try anyway. So then, can you just stay on a little bit so I can see the goal? I'm sorry, yes. So this one, improving the technology or integrating the use of technology to improve the instruction. So PTO has allocated funds for some iPads over at Center School. They funded Starfall for us, and this year the FM systems are put in place. This morning I was speaking with Aaron Heyer about with now having one of our classrooms that will be available for more opportunities there, which is also further in here as far as the environment. We are going to be looking to take some of the computers. So teachers have been saying that with the number of computers in the classrooms, it makes it challenging for space for the children. So what we might do is look to add some computers to that room to make it a semi-computer lab for the kids so that a paraprofessional or the teacher can take groups of kids at a time into that extra space, and they can get their computer time and have maybe some more instruction for them in technology. And what we'll do for next year is look at some professional development related to technology as far as getting their classroom websites going. I know that was one thing, feedback I had from the staff was they really wanted to learn how to create their own website and keep it maintained. So we'll do that for next year. If you can just scroll down. So for our third goal, reinforcing the principles of good citizenship and nurturing the values of respect, consideration, and tolerance for others. One of the big things that came up this year with the staff was instituting or implementing the bucket fillers program in center school, which is a character education-based program. PTO was right on board. They ordered T-shirts that parents could purchase that have center school on it, and it has a little bucket, the little logo for the bucket fillers. And what it is just a way to teach the children that they want to be a bucket filler by doing good things or saying good things to people and not being bucket dippers. So that caught on pretty quickly. And then what we're going to do in the fall at open house is I'm going to kick it off with more of a presentation for parents and how we can get families included and involved, and then extend it also to the buses. So have the bus drivers included, where I'll be riding the bus, every bus within that first month, so that children can know that, there's that presence and awareness, and there'll be bucket fillers throughout their entire day, and then hopefully at home as well, so that we can make it a wraparound program there. So the other thing that we're doing, recycling, the need for recycling was there, but it was interesting when this came about, when we talked about this, next thing we knew, we had the information on the green team that was happening in the Abington schools. So we'll just continue to see what else we can do, and one of the things that we will be doing is offering parents an opt-out, so also using technology. But if parents would like to receive notifications through email instead of us sending home photocopying newsletters or other handouts that might go home, and parents that would access email instead, and make it easier for them, and then also hopefully reduce the amount of paper that's going out. So in here, monthly spirit days as well. So one of the other things is there's definitely a sense of pride and community at center school, and the PTO definitely wanted to, next year they've planned out, we already charted out every month what we'll do for spirit days with the t-shirts. So on those days, the children, if they purchase the t-shirt, they'll get to wear it. PTO is buying anything that the children will have, the sunglasses, the hats, and giving them to them for that day. So there's no child left out in that spirit day. And so the other goal, to provide appropriate school facilities and a healthy and safe learning environment. One of the things that we've been doing is how can we make it look like an early childhood center. So as far as our CAFA gym, a libratorium, we've made a lot of use out of that by having the library in the gym. We had the community partnership program utilize the gym. For next year, we're going to create a master schedule, so everybody's signing up for different areas in the building. Because this year it was a challenge with this space because we didn't have much space to work with. But now that we've had a year to get our hands on it and figure it out, next year we'll do that. Murals are being painted for the stairwells by the Girl Scouts. They, as part of their, I think it's their silver patch, they needed to do a project, and they chose Center School in creating murals that won't be painted on the walls. They'll be painted on plywood that then can be put onto the wall. So they came over and they mapped out the school and then put their thoughts together. And so ongoing is to investigate the efficiency of the preschool and kindergarten drop-off and pick-up. It seemed to go really well this year, where we didn't have any congestion or any challenges as far as dangerous situations. So we'll just continue to monitor that, and that's ongoing, same as the NutriKids payment option for parents. And then the last, which I've touched on a little bit, was building on the tradition of the community support over at Center School. The website is one area that we definitely saw as an opportunity to get information out and include the community. So now we have the virtual tour of Center School on the website, so that if parents call and ask about enrolling or they'd like to come and see the school, they can just at home look at the tour of the building and its pictures, slideshow of pictures, with information about tuition and enrollment and how to go about enrolling their children. We also, the PTO is recruiting volunteers for next year. I had contacted the senior center on several occasions to see if we can get seniors in, but I didn't have much luck with that. So hopefully next year we'll have a lot more volunteer, and the PTO will manage that. Then ongoing will be our monthly calendar. We already put one in the newsletter, but we're going to have one that's a little more visual with the blocks, like a typical calendar instead of bulleted. And then at the end of the year this year, we had a picnic day that we had all the families. We also had for our Halloween parade, we had all the families in for that. And it took some figuring out logistics, how to get all those people in that building safely and, manage the incoming and outgoing effectively. But I think we have it down pat pretty well. So this year we did the picnic day that was coordinated in conjunction with PTO. So they did a lot of the work, the logistics for that, and then we implemented what they wanted us to do. So next year we'll look at more things we can do to bring the parents in now that we've got a good handle on how to do it safely. And then, as I said, the before and after school interest. We did have the survey. Surprisingly, there was not much interest in after-school care or before school at Center School. So that's why we thought going with the little sports program where they'll do a dance class, a yoga class, and then the sports class is a foundations of sports. So things as simple as run from the wall and run back. So they're not learning, or they might be learning how to throw a ball and not the actual sport itself, but the foundational skills they need for sports. So that's what that is. I think that might be, is that it? So that's it.
I had a question just about the teaching strategies gold. Are the teachers already using, I'm familiar with that program, are they already using it and they've trained on it, or will they do that? Or is that our plan to start in September?
The plan is to start in September. What we've done is through Department of Early Ed and Care, there are 3 or 4 instruments that are acceptable to use for their QRIS, which we'll be doing after NAUIC. And looking at the teaching strategies gold, it made sense, and I was on the phone with them today because the teachers can use all of the data from the assessments they're already using and plug it into teaching strategies gold, and then it will give them a report so they can see trends and then they can monitor what's happening. So right now with the data, there's no way, they have the assessments, but they don't have any way that they're able to truly track it visually. There's no graphs or anything for the kindergarten and preschool. So we're hoping that this will give us that piece that we'll need for next year anyway.
It is a great system. And now that you've brought up Macy, where are you in the process of that?
We just got our email yesterday that our visit will happen by November 30th. So I submitted the candidacy materials, the report. It had to be in by May 31st, so that was off and sent, and then they received it and then notified us that I'll be getting a call probably September. I anticipate September, telling me that they will be scheduling it by November, and then we'll be all set.
And just for informational purposes, NAEYC stands for?
National Association for the Education of Young Children.
And then QRIS is?
Quality Rating Improvement System.
I promise I wasn't trying to quiz you, I just think.
No.
We got it.
We
Yeah.
bat these around and people don't know what we're talking about, and so.
Right, and the QRIS is one thing that is the initiative. In order for us to apply for some of the grants through EEC, we will have to be in the QRIS process at level 2. And because we're NAEYC accredited, we are by default at level 2. I just need to, first, all of the teachers in the building have to be in the program registry, which they did that, so then it's just working. There's a lot of pieces to that, and a lot of information sessions that I've gone to this year, that for next year, it will be great to have the teachers involved in that, which they do them during the school day, which will be really helpful, and hopefully get some people out to the building, to help us while we start that.
Question also about the iPads or the whatever
Mm-hmm.
technology pads. Will you have like a little iPad cart and you'll move them around, or will they put it?
We think that, I think they allocated $1,000, so we won't have a lot that the PTO has put aside for us, but whatever we do have, they also had put in there to get cases so that we can keep them probably in the rover that we have.
In our last school committee meeting, when I wasn't running that meeting, but you accepted a donation of $30,000 from a benefactor that we've been fortunate has donated money over the years. Some of that money will be going towards, not just at the early elementary school, but at the center school, but across the district towards iPads for students. So.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. We motion to accept the 2012-2013 Center Elementary School Improvement Plan as presented.
I'll do it.
Mike, second? Second. Kathy, all in favor?
Aye.
New business, establishing the next school committee. As stated before, our next school committee meeting will be Tuesday, August 28th, right here at the Potter Room, 7 o'clock. Do you have anything else, Peter?
Just a couple of quick things under informational, if I could highlight. In your packet, you've got a report on the class of 2012 and where our students are going. Just gives me an opportunity to make sure that people know that 92% of the graduates from Abington will continue their education in some type of post-secondary institution. 55% attend four-year colleges, 37% attend two-year colleges. 6% go directly to work, and 2% will enter the military. And if you look at the range of schools that our students go to, a large number go to, state schools. There's also students that go to private schools and, have access to any school in the country from Abington High School. And so that's in your packet. The other thing I wanted to mention is there are two things under informational. I think people are aware that our girls softball team went to the state finals and lost to Grafton by 1 run. I heard it was a tight game, and they did exceptionally well, so I want to announce that here. Just proud that they're able to compete at that level. And then the other thing I want to mention is we have an Abington High School senior who will be competing Wednesday in Omaha, Nebraska, to qualify for the U.S. Olympic team going to London. Colleen O'Neill will be swimming. You can catch her supposedly on NBC Sports at 7 p.m. Hopefully, I think as Colleen is quoted in the paper, she says she's just excited to compete at that level and hoping to get a good time. But if she's successful, she'll go off and compete in London. So we're just excited about that. I want to make sure I mentioned that here. So
Good luck, Colleen. Knock 'em dead.
So they actually will probably be on to the Summer Olympics 4 years from now, by the time they play the tape here. But anyway, that's all I have.
We have approval of all accounts, then we're going to move into executive session. Motion to approve all accounts as presented. Ellen, second. Mike, Ellen, Kathy. And we're going to move out of general section to, by roll call vote, to discuss collective bargaining proposal and strategy of the Abington Education Association, not to return to public session by roll call. Mike, Ellen, myself, Tom, and Kathy. We're going to adjourn.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.